This is definitely something that I've seen confuse a lot of people, and I completely understand why. So basically asks, if birds are warm-blooded, how can they be considered reptiles if reptiles are typically known to be cold-blooded animals? And again, I completely understand why that's really confusing because, many of us, when we're growing up, we're taught to basically separate animals into these nice little categories they are separated from their characteristics. One thing that separated reptiles from everything else was the fact that they were cold-blooded. But the thing is that of course is not really a system that's used nowadays. It's a faulty system because there's a lot of variables to it. Take, for example, there was a type of goat that was cold-blooded. That's right, a mammal that was not warm-blooded. This is something that kind of throws a wrench in that whole idea because nature doesn't really like to stick to our own little categories that we set up to them. Nowadays, we use something known as phylogenetics. Phylogenetics basically tells us that you are everything that you come from. Basically, you can't evolve out of a clade. Because birds evolved within clades that are classified as reptiles, this means that they are still reptiles. It doesn't matter how many different adaptations they have. It doesn't matter if they're warm-blooded. It doesn't matter if they have feathers. It doesn't matter if they have the ability to fly. They are still considered reptiles despite the fact that they are very different from a lizard. And that's one of the biggest things. No matter how much you change, you cannot evolve out of a clade. No matter how much a bird changes, it will still be a dinosaur. And it will still be a reptile. There's nothing that it can change in its overall appearance and functionality that would make it anything other than a reptile. And the same thing goes for every single mammal. Like, just because this goat evolved to be cold-blooded doesn't mean that it's a reptile all of a sudden. It's still classified as a mammal because it evolved within a mammalian clade. You could also potentially use this logic on animals like monotremes, because typically we don't think of mammals as egg-laying vertebrates. Usually that's reserved for animals like reptiles or the like. But of course, there was likely a lot of mammals in the past in the fossil record that laid eggs, and of course we do have echidnas and platypus that lay eggs today. And just because they lay eggs doesn't mean that we should reclassify them as a reptile. They are still very much mammals. So yeah, basically this is all just the fun thing about evolution.